There's a quiet epidemic spreading among men today, a crisis not of poverty or politics, but of respect. You can feel it when you walk into a room and see men shrinking under the weight of expectations, trying to please women who once looked at them with admiration but now only offer polite tolerance, or worse, quiet contempt. You see it in marriages where the man no longer leads but follows, cautiously navigating around emotional minefields. You hear it in the voices of men who once spoke with confidence, now softened into uncertain tones, seeking approval they should never have needed. This is not how it was meant to be, and deep down, you know it. Respect is not something that women, or anyone, hand to you like a gift. It is not awarded for your kindness, your availability, or even your love. Respect is the natural consequence of who you are. It is earned, not through words or affection, but through boundaries. Those invisible lines you draw around your soul that say, "This is who I am. This is what I will and will not accept." The harsh reality most men fail to accept is this: women don't respect your love. They respect your limits. It doesn't matter how much you care or how deeply you feel. If you fail to command respect through your actions, you'll become invisible. And when that respect erodes, everything that made her fall for you in the first place falls away with it. She may stay for comfort, but her eyes will wander, her voice will shift, her energy will change. You won't even need her words to tell you what's happening. You'll feel it in the silence. The loss of respect is the silent death of love. The problem is not her. It's you. It's easy to blame women for being complicated, for testing your limits, for changing their behavior. But the truth is far simpler and far harder to swallow. The problem is not that she tested you. The problem is that you failed the test. Women, whether they fully realize it or not, are biologically wired to test the strength of the men they're with. These tests aren't acts of cruelty. They're survival mechanisms, subconscious ways to assess whether the man standing before them is worthy of trust, protection, and admiration. They push against your boundaries to find out if those boundaries even exist. They challenge your confidence, your purpose, your emotional stability, not to tear you down, but to see whether you stand firm when pressure comes. Every time you fail one of these tests, her respect diminishes. Every time you pass, her respect deepens. Boundaries are your backbone. Most men approach relationships with the wrong tools. They believe that if they are kind enough, accommodating enough, vulnerable enough, they will be rewarded with love and loyalty. They believe that sharing every thought, sacrificing every standard, and prioritizing her feelings above their own will earn them her eternal affection. But women do not fall in love with men who lose themselves to please them. They fall in love with men who remain grounded, centered, and immovable in their principles. Men who have boundaries so firm that even in moments of temptation, they do not yield. Boundaries are not walls to keep her out. They are structures that hold you upright. They're not rules to control her. They're codes that control you. And the more you master your boundaries, the more irresistibly magnetic you become, not just to women, but to the world. The Stoic Masculinity Code. This is not manipulation. This is not about playing games or using cheap psychological tricks to control another person's emotions. This is about mastering yourself. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, understood that true power lies not in changing others, but in ruling oneself. You cannot force anyone to respect you, but you can become a man who is impossible not to respect. And you do that by mastering 5 boundaries, 5 iron principles that will govern your relationships, your emotions, and your very identity. These boundaries are not for the faint of heart. They require discipline, courage, and sacrifice. But for the man who embraces them, the rewards are immeasurable. A story of loss and awakening. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who loved deeply, a man who would do anything for the woman he adored. At first, she cherished him. She admired his ambition, his strength, his quiet confidence. But over time, something shifted. As she tested him with small jabs of disrespect, he smiled and stayed silent. As she challenged his direction, he wavered, to avoid conflict. As she demanded more of his time, his peace evaporated. He thought he was being loving. She thought he was becoming weak. One day, she left, not because he didn't love her enough, but because he no longer made her feel safe, inspired, or drawn to his strength. He became one of millions of men who lost everything, not through cruelty or failure, but through the slow erosion of respect. But that man woke up. He studied. He reflected. He rebuilt himself, not for revenge, not for her, but for his own soul. He learned to draw lines, to guard his peace, to carry his emotional weight with quiet power, to respond with control, and above all, to be willing, to walk away when his standards were violated. And when she saw him again, months later, she no longer recognized him, not because his face had changed, but because his presence had. That man could be you. What you're about to learn in this video, we're going to explore the 5 boundaries that define Stoic masculinity. Never reward disrespect. Guard your peace. Don't overshare. Master emotional reactivity. Always be willing to walk away. Each boundary will be paired with real-life stories, ancient wisdom, and practical methods that you can begin applying immediately to reclaim not only her respect, but your respect for yourself. This is your turning point, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient. Now, let's begin. Boundary 1. Never reward disrespect. There is a moment so subtle that most men don't even recognize it when it happens. You're standing there, and she says something. A small jab, a sarcastic comment, a dismissive look. She laughs about your career goals, interrupts your sentence in front of others, or casually mentions another man's attention just to gauge your reaction. In that instant, you feel a discomfort rising in your chest. Your pride flinches. But instead of addressing it, you smile. You tell yourself, it's not a big deal. She's just in a bad mood. I don't want to look insecure. Better to keep the peace. So you swallow the discomfort. You let it slide, and in that moment, you trade something sacred for something cheap. You trade respect for temporary comfort. The slippery slope of tolerating disrespect. Disrespect rarely begins with grand betrayals. It begins quietly. A dismissive laugh at a dream. A sarcastic comment masked as humor. A subtle eye roll during a conversation. A forgotten promise brushed off as unimportant. The problem isn't the act itself, it's your response to it. Every time you tolerate even the smallest disrespect, you send a message, you may cross this boundary and I will stay. And that message doesn't sit there, it multiplies. Today it's a sarcastic joke, tomorrow it's open mockery. Next week, it's undermining your leadership. Eventually, it's the complete erosion of your authority. Women, whether consciously or subconsciously, test boundaries to locate your strength. They aren't doing this out of cruelty, they're testing because it's how you prove you're worthy of respect. Respect is built on consequence. Respect is not maintained by how much you give, but by how much you refuse to tolerate. When you allow someone to belittle you without consequence, you send one loud message. My identity depends on your affection. A woman cannot respect a man who rewards disrespect. She may stay with him, out of convenience or dependency, but in her heart, she no longer admires him. Respect is not in the compliments. It's in the consistency of how she treats you when she doesn't need to impress. There is only one way to respond to disrespect, with calm consequence. No shouting, no pleading, no explanations, just clarity. Then action. For example, don't speak to me that way again. If it happens again, I will leave. If it happens again, you leave. Not in anger, not in rage, but in stillness, unshaken calm. That stillness is where true masculine power lives. The hidden psychology of testing boundaries. Women test men not to provoke cruelty, but to locate their center. They use small challenges, interruptions, mockery, flirting with others, to see if you bend. Can you lead when she's upset? Can you remain calm when she spins? Can you protect your own dignity under pressure? When you react emotionally or fold to avoid conflict, you show her you lack a backbone. A man she cannot trust with her own chaos is a man she cannot respect. The power of one silent exit. Let me tell you about Adam. He tolerated repeated mockery and testing from his partner. Each time he argued or pleaded, nothing changed. One evening, after a public humiliation, he stood up quietly, paid the bill, and left. No confrontation, no drama. For 2 weeks, he said nothing. When she finally reached out, he calmly said, "I care about myself too much to stay where I am disrespected." He reclaimed not just her respect, but his own. He taught her that boundaries with no consequence mean nothing. Practicing Boundary 1 daily. This principle applies to every area of life. In business, don't tolerate clients who disrespect your time. In friendships, refuse jokes that belittle you. With family, set limits on emotional exploitation. With yourself, refuse to tolerate your own excuses. A man who rewards disrespect anywhere loses respect everywhere. A man who enforces boundaries everywhere becomes unshakable. The shift begins. Now from this moment forward, adopt one unbreakable rule. Never reward disrespect, not once, not ever, no matter how small the violation seems. Every act of tolerance chips away at your kingdom. Every act of discipline builds it. This is the beginning of true masculine power. Boundary 2. Guard your peace. There's a currency far more valuable than money, status, or even love itself: peace. Yet most men give it away cheaply, unaware of its worth. They trade it for instant gratification, for approval, for temporary comfort. Little by little, they sacrifice their inner stillness, until one day, they wake up exhausted, anxious, hollow. They become strangers to themselves, slaves to the noise of the world. The silent erosion of peace. The loss of peace doesn't happen in one event. It happens one compromise at a time. You respond instantly to every text, afraid she'll lose interest. You rearrange plans to accommodate her emotions. You engage in pointless arguments. You say yes to things you don't want. You tolerate chaos that drains you. Each act feels small. Together, they hollow you out. You become a man always performing, always reacting, always seeking permission to breathe. Peace is not found. It's defended. Modern culture lies. One day, when everything calms down, you'll find peace. The Stoics knew this was false. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." But that retreat exists only if you protect it. Peace must be guarded like a fortress under siege. Every leak, reactions, distractions, approvals, weakens the walls. Why women test. Your peace women test your peace the same way they test your boundaries to locate your center. They may start small arguments, withdraw affection, or create emotional storms to see if you collapse. When you react, chase, beg, explain, you fail the test. When you remain calm, holding space without surrendering, you pass. Her respect deepens because she feels safe in your stability. The fortress mindset. Imagine your peace as a fortress. Strong walls keep out chaos. Decline distractions, limit social, media, and gossip. Guard your calendar, clean your space, move your body. Access to your peace is earned, not freely given. A man whose peace is guarded radiates authority. The power of delayed response. One of the most powerful tools is delayed response. Don't answer texts immediately. Don't engage every emotional flare-up. Don't adjust your life to every mood swing. The pause creates authority, gives perspective, and maintains your center. The man who pauses owns the moment. The rituals that guard your peace. Peace is built daily. Wake up early. Those quiet hours are your fortress. Control inputs. Limit news, opinions, and social media. Strengthen your body. Physical discipline anchors your mind. Respect your schedule. Guard your time ruthlessly. Curate your circle. Surround yourself with those who respect your mission. Each practice reinforces your fortress. Walls. The irony of peace. Here's the paradox. The things you used to chase, validation, attention, love, begin to chase you when you no longer need them. When your peace is guarded, you become mysterious, magnetic, and trusted. Women feel it instantly because peace cannot be faked. Boundary 3. Don't overshare. There's a seductive lie. Total vulnerability equals intimacy. Many men believe exposing every thought and wound will draw a woman closer. In reality, uncontrolled oversharing suffocates attraction. She wants to discover you, not carry you. Attraction springs from mystery and depth, not open confession. When you pour out every doubt and insecurity too soon, you strip away the magnetism that drew her in. You become her emotional project, not the strong man she admires. The burden of emotional dumping. Men confuse emotional honesty with emotional dumping, sharing deepest wounds as soon as possible, exposing fears and doubts without timing, seeking comfort rather than offering stability. At first she comforts. Soon she feels responsible for your stability. Responsibility kills desire. Masculine polarity. Masculine energy offers containment. Feminine energy flows. Oversharing collapses polarity by forcing her into the stabilizing role she expects you to fill. You are not meant to bring her into your storms. You are meant to invite her into your calm. Vulnerability as a tool. Vulnerability has its place, but as a tool, not a lifestyle. Share selectively, with timing and purpose. Reveal in layers. As trust deepens, offer glimpses that fuel curiosity, not full disclosures that drown her. Controlled vulnerability deepens intimacy. Uncontrolled oversharing destroys it. Private processing. Strong men process emotions alone. Journal thoughts. Meditate. Train in solitude. Sharpen body and mind. They reveal struggles as part of triumph, not as cries for rescue. Presence over words. Women. Trust presence more than words. A calm voice, steady eye contact, and measured silence communicate security far beyond any confession. Presence says, I am here. I am unshaken. You are safe. Boundary 4. Master emotional reactivity. There is a battlefield inside every man, where emotions collide with instinct. When she tests you with a sudden tone shift or withdrawal, you feel your chest tighten, your mind spin. Most men react. They chase, plead, argue, defend, collapse. In that moment, they hand over their power. The essence of emotional sovereignty, true strength, lies in emotional sovereignty, feeling fully, yet remaining unmoved. It's not the absence of emotion, but control over it. The gap between stimulus and response is where masculine power is forged. Why women? Test your frame. Women test to find your center. Can you lead when emotions run high? Can you stay composed while she feels chaos? When you remain calm, you pass. Her respect deepens because she senses real stability. The danger of reactivity, defensiveness, over-explaining, chasing, collapsing, signals instability. And once she senses instability, her trust and attraction erode. The masculine container. Feminine energy moves like waves. Masculine energy is the shore. Your role is to contain her storms, not to control them. Containment is safety, not coldness. You cannot fake stillness. True calm cannot be faked. Women sense the gap between words and energy. Authentic stillness is built daily through disciplined practice, not rehearsed on the spot. Owning your triggers. Most reactions aren't to her behavior, but to your wounds. Fear of abandonment, rejection, inadequacy. Until you face these wounds, you remain enslaved by them. The man who owns his shadows cannot be manipulated by them. The power of delay, delaying your response, pausing before answering, before engaging, creates authority. The pause grants perspective and control. The man who pauses owns the moment. Presence. That commands respect. Presence. Calm tone, steady eye contact, measured breathing, whispers, "I am here, I am unshaken, you are safe." That presence builds trust, respect, and long-term desire. Boundary 5. Be willing to walk away. One boundary separates boys from men, the willingness to walk away. Not out of bitterness or revenge, but out of self-respect. A man who cannot walk away has already lost his power. The silent prison of attachment. Many men stay trapped in unhealthy jobs, relationships, or friendships because they fear being alone, starting over, or facing discomfort. Each compromise chips away at their souls. Why women sense. Your fear. Women instinctively detect when a man fears, losing them more than losing himself. They see his tolerance for disrespect, hear his excuses, sense his desperation, and respect evaporates. Detachment as strength. Detachment is the presence of principle. You love fully, but never at the cost of your standards. You stay by choice, not by fear. That willingness to leave commands deeper respect than any romantic gesture. A story of walking away. Michael tolerated disrespect until one evening he silently left after public humiliation. No drama, no negotiation, just action. When she begged for answers, he said calmly, "I care too much about myself to stay where I am disrespected." He reclaimed his power through principle. What walking away signals, being willing to leave communicates. I am complete with or without you. I do not negotiate my worth. Your love enhances me, but doesn't define me. Women crave strength. They cannot manipulate. Growth after walking away. True growth happens after letting go. Clarity sharpens, confidence rises, self-respect rebuilds. You stop chasing and start attracting because you become rare and non-negotiable. The masculine code of non-attachment. Adopt this rule. I will never stay anywhere that demands I lose myself. Love deeply, give fully, lead firmly, but never beg or compromise integrity. We live in a world where men are taught to chase love but forget how to command respect. They sacrifice standards, explain away dignity, negotiate worth, hoping tolerance will buy affection. But affection built on compromise is hollow. Respect is not given. It's earned by how you live. The 5 boundaries that redefine. You never reward disrespect. Guard your peace. Don't overshare. Master emotional reactivity. Be willing to walk away. Each boundary transforms not just your relationships, but your entire life. You're not the same man anymore if you embody these principles. You've become sovereign. You no longer need approval or fear loss or tolerate disrespect. Your presence commands respect before you speak. Your eyes tell the story of a man who leads himself. This is only the beginning. Talk doesn't change you. Discipline does. From this moment, speak less, observe more, react less, respond stronger, chase less, attract naturally, compromise less, lead fully. Pick one boundary to master today. Ask yourself, which boundary will you own first? Join the movement if this message resonated. Share this video with a man who needs to hear it. Comment below. I choose respect over validation. Subscribe and join thousands embracing Stoic masculinity. This is not the end. This is the beginning of your new era. Live by the code, command respect.